All right. Hey, welcome back to my stream. And what the hell? I hate when this happens. Okay, let's just. Here you go.
それじゃああなたはここを使って。私はもう眠るけど、何か質問はある？
とりわけ重要な疑問はない。すぐに戦闘を仕掛けない君の判断は正しいよ。今夜は魔力の回復を行うべきだろう。
ええ。それじゃあ明日、今朝の紅茶をよろしくね。
Rin really got like super spoiled on that. When I return to my room, fatigue rushes in on me like a flood.
そうだ。眠る前にきれいに連絡しないと。
That's the annoying priest. He's probably busy preparing a spare mage right now. That he doesn't have anything to do with me, but he is my guardian. I should at least go through the proper emotions.
電話と。
I dialed the handset. It only takes a moment for the alleged priest to pick up.
きれい？私だけど、昨日サーバントと契約したから。正式にマスター登録お願い。
A brief silence. Curious silence has enough pressure to depress even through the phone. I can imagine Curie is having some sort of evil laughter in his brain right now.
いいだろう。ではどうする？一度こちらに顔を出さないか。君のご両親から預かっているものもある。君がマスターになった場合にのみ、成人前に伝えてほしいと頼まれているのだが。
The same night that stabbed his dad, her dad.
ああ、それって父さんの遺言のこと？それならもう解読して手に入れたからいいわ。それじゃ気が向いたらお邪魔するからよろしく。
待てリン。マスターになったのなら。
Without waiting for him to finish, I hang up. If I listen to one of Curie's lecture while I'm tired, I'm not going to do any recovering. Well then.
さて、これで準備は終わりと。
All that's left is to sleep. When I open my eyes, the morning will be different from the ones that came before it. 10 years ago. The Holy Grail War that my father fought in as a mage and was defeated in. Now I'm throwing myself into the same battle. So, after breakfast, I clearly explained my plans for the time being.
何？学校に行くだと？
ええ。何か問題あるかしら、あっちゃん。
問題はないが、しかし、それは。
Archer hesitates, but he doesn't object. It's probably because he came to understand yesterday that Tosaka Rin isn't the sort of person who takes things back once she's made a decision. He understands without my having to say it, or maybe it's that in spite of his cynicism, he has an oddly meek side. But it seems that he doesn't complain about things that he's already accepted. Well, for Archer, he knows what happens next. But if Archer was actually trying to do his plan here, he would have really fought hard for Rin not to go to school on that day. But whatever. Yeah, and in short, he has an awkward kind of loyalty. That's the conclusion I've reached after observing Archer for a day. Though really, it's more like an intuition.
リン、マスターになったからには常に敵マスターを警戒しなくてはならない。学校という場は不意の襲撃に備えにくい場所だろ。
I guess. Well, to be fair, from Shiro's perspective, he doesn't exactly know what Rin was doing at that time, but he knows Rin was there.
そんなことはないけどね。いいあっちゃ。私はマスターになったからって今までの生活を変える気はないわ。それにマスター同士の戦いは人目を避けるものでしょ。それなら人目につく学校にいれば不意打ちされることはまずないと思うけど。
そうか。リンがそう決めたのなら私は従うだけだ。だが霊体化して君の護衛をするぐらいはいいのだろうな。まさか学校に行っている間はここに残れなどとは言うまい。
Well, Shiro actually made that mistake once. I mean, Emiya made that mistake once. Shiro was about to make that mistake later on.
当たり前じゃない。学校に限らず外に出るときはそばにいてもらうからね。マスターを守るのもサーバントの役割なんだから頼りにしてるわ。
それを聞いて安心した。信頼に応えるのは騎士の務め。せいぜい期待に沿うとしよう。だがリン、もしもの話だが、その安全な場所に敵がいたとしたら
He
どう
fucking
する？
knows, of course.
何？学校にマスターがいるかもしれないってかて？
He knows there's several masters there.
そうだ。確かに学び屋には生徒と教師以外は入りにくいが、すでに内部の者がマスターだとしたら厄介ではないのか。
それはないんじゃないかな。この町には魔術師の家系は遠坂とあと一つしかないの。そのあと一つっていう家系は落ちぶれてるしマスターにもなってないし。
マスターになっていないとどうしてわかる？
あのね、うち以外に魔術師の家系がいるんなら真っ先に確かめるのは当然でしょ。そいつマスターにはなってなかったし、あっちの家系の後継者にはマスターになるだけの魔力がないから無視して構わないわ。
そうか。つまりリンの通う学校にはもう一人魔術師がいるのだな。だがマスターになれるほどの魔力を持ち合わせていないと。
I wonder if one of the reasons why the Mata family really fucked up is because Soken's still alive. I actually don't remember if there's an explanation for that one, but I guess we'll check that out later.
そういうこと。だから他のマスターは外からやってくる連中が大半のはず。そんな連中が学校にまでやってくることはないでしょう。
まあ今の段階ではな。だがリン、何事にも例外は存在する。もし学校に君が知らない魔術師がいたとしたらどうする？
だからいないってば。魔術師っていうのは他の同業に敏感なの。1年も同じ学校にいたらね、どんなに隠してても魔術師の存在は感じ取れる。断言するけど、うちの学校に魔術師は2人しかいないわ。そのうちの1人が私で、もう1人はマスターになるだけの力がない魔術師見習いなの。
Of course, at this point, I think Archer already remembers everything, and he knows that that other dude, he has ways to deal with that problem.
わかった？アーチャーの用心はただの杞憂よ。そんなこと絶対にありえないんだから。
だからもしもの話だ。物事には常に裏目が存在する。本来ありえざることが起こるのもまた運命だ。
He said the line, faked.
もしそういった事態になった場合、私に八つ当たりをするのだけは思いとどまってほしいと言っているのだ。
Oh, I hate this. You could tell that Archer Emiya is like hinting that, oh, there's some shit about the brew here. Even if you remove the fact he's gonna fight Lancer, it's some bullshit involving Archer smiles dryly. Just that attitude makes me want to vent. But if I stand here and fight him on every little thing, I'll be late for school.
そんなことあるわけないじゃない。 もしもの話っていうのは起きないからもしもの話なのよ。もしそんなことになったら、その時は私の見通しが甘かったってだけなんだから。
よし、確かに聞いたぞ。それでは行こうか、リン。
He's really cocky about this. I mean, he already knows what's gonna happen, but he's having fun.
君の学び屋まで30分。そろそろ出なければ間に合わない時間帯だ。
驚いた。もしもの話って本当にあるのね。
ああ、私も驚いている。いや、何事もケチをつけておくものだな。思わぬところで役に立った。
We banter like that as we pass through the main gate. All around us, there are students heading for their classrooms. And it's just before the time for homeroom to start. In the middle of the human wave scrambling towards the school, stand Archer and I.
空気がよどんでるどころの話じゃない。これ、もう結界が張られてない？
完全にではないが、すでに準備は始まっているようだ。ここまで派手にやっているということは、よほどの大物か。
Well, you know, Ryder's doing her best.
とんでもない素人ね。異常を感じさせる結界なんて三流だもの。やるんなら仕掛ける時まで隠し通しておくのが一流よ。
Wait, I'm thinking. Who is the one who's actually doing this? It's, Ryder, right? Well, I don't remember if she knows a lot of magic or whatever. Well, I don't know. I mean, she did come from the Age of Gods, but, you know.
で、君はどちらだと思う？
さあ、一流だろうが三流だろうが知ったことじゃないわ。私のテリトリーでこんなゲスなもの仕掛けたやつなんて問答無用でぶっ倒すだけよ。
I snot and cut across the schoolyard. As a mage, I have no intention of sugarcoating it. I won't be satisfied until I'm given just desserts to whoever set this boundary field. At the end of second period, as I'm heading back from the music room, I see a first year walking down the hallway on unsteady feet. I guess she's carrying some kind of class material, and it looks like she's having a hard time.
手伝うわ、さくら。
Oh.
遠坂先輩。何、プリント？世界史って言ったらうちの担任じゃない。クズキのやつ、女生徒に使いをさせるなんて何考えてんだか。あ、はい、ありがとうございます先輩。いいっていいって。それじゃあこれさくらのクラスまで？クズキ先生のところです。誤字があったから回収するって言ってました。納得。クズキは融通きかないからね。一つ誤字があったぐらいで試験を中止させるやつだった。試験って学校の試験をですか？そう、あれは去年の中間試験だったかな。みんながガーッとマークシートを塗りつぶしてる時にやってきてね。誤字があるので正しい問題ではなかった。よって試験は中止。後日改めて行うってあの調子で淡々と言ったのよ。
Oops.
なんか
That was
鈴
it.
木先生らしいですね。それ先生、ものを教える立場に間違いは許されないって人ですから。クズキのは度が過ぎてるけどね。さくらもそのうち思い知るわよ。クズキの堅物ぶりったら岩か山かって感じなんだから。遠坂先輩、クズキ先生のことが好きなんですね。先輩がそんな風に言うなんて珍しいです。そう？まあ確かにクズキはもうちょっと柔軟性があればなって思うけど。
I do think that, but I also wonder if that teacher isn't fine just the way he is. In our school, there are teachers that students can be completely friendly with, and the other teachers that they should be absolutely afraid of. The balance is superb, so I think Kuzuki-sensei provides good discipline. He's the He's the stick of the carrot and stick.
まあ2年になればもっとクズキと顔を合わせるようになるわ。あいつは倫理も受け持ってるし。
Ooh, Kuzuki in charge of ethics. Ooh.
そんなことよりさくら、ちょっと聞きたいことがあるんだけど。何ですか先輩。昨日の話なんだけど、さくら見かけない外国人と話してなかった？見てたんですか先輩。たまたま。それであれ何だったの？いいえ、それがよくわからない人だったんです。あの人、道に迷ってたみたいでした。
Where Sakura is making a lot of...
聞いてくるんだけど、何を言ってるのか聞き取れなくて。
Where Sakura is making a lot of bullshit right now, considering what he said to Sakura. Ah. And then you run away.
そっか。ごめんなさい。少しだけ気になったから。いえ、構いません。ここまででいいです先輩。あとは届けるだけですから。そう？それじゃあまたね。
I return the sheaf of printouts to Sakura. Then as I'm getting ready to go back to my own classroom, I stop for a moment.
さくら、最近はどう？はい、大丈夫。元気です、私。
Who's they?
そう。シンジがまた何かやったら言いなさい。あいつはどってものを知らないから。黙っていると悪化する一方よ。
Sorry, I was thinking of other day, and I'm not talking about Shiro and Fuji Sensei.
心配いりませんよ先輩。兄さん、この頃は優しいんですから。
That's pretty bullshit. When she says it with a smile like that, there's nothing for me to say. I say goodbye to her again and turn my back on Sakura. The day is over. The number of students in the classroom is dwindling, and the school is darkening moment by moment. The sun will go down any minute. When the red sun dips below the horizon and night falls, there won't be anyone left in the school.
始めるわよ、あーちゃん。まずは結界の下調べ。どんな結界かを調べてから、消すか残すか決めましょう。
I call out to my unseen companion. I guess that he agrees, and get back to the sense of a nod. Boundary field indicates something that protects the practitioner. You can think of it as a locational magecraft that stretches a rope woven from magical energy along the ground and applies some charge to the area inside of it. The inside of the boundary field can have an infinite variety of effects, from making the inside of the field invisible to the human eye to restricting the kind of magic that can be performed within the field. Among those, the most offensive use is to suppress the life force of anything inside the field. The field applied to the school is one of those. It's not complete yet, but if the field is knit together even for a moment, everyone in the school will probably completely lose consciousness. But that thing doesn't have any effect on me. After all, the boundary field isn't set up against me personally. It's set up in the place that I'm in. That kind of indirect magic intervention has no effect on mages who can pass magical energy through their bodies. That kind of weak electric current ruffling in the air just gets pushed away as soon as it gets close to the strong current that is me. Therefore, there must be another intent behind this boundary field. I don't know what sort of person set up the boundary field here, but his objective isn't to defeat masters with it. It's hard to believe, but he's targeting everyone in the school. There's only one reason to do something like that. I don't want to think about it, but she needs energy. We thoroughly search the school, and finally we end up on the roof. Outside, it's descended into complete darkness. It's 8 o'clock, past the gate, closed at 9. Oh, it's 7:30 here in real life. The only people left at school are me and Archer in his spirit form next to me.
これで7つ目か。とりあえずここが起点みたいね。
There's an 8-stroke seal drawn brazenly on the roof. The maroon letters carved on the roof can only be seen by mages, and their form is the one I never seen or nor heard before. Yeah, it's right there.
参ったな。これ私の手には負えない。
The bastard who set up this boundary field up isn't taking any precautions. He's not thinking about anything, but the technique binding this field together is unbelievably advanced. I can erase the magical energy from this curse for the time being, but I can't destroy the field itself. If the caster passes magical energy through that field again, it would probably recover from that alone. Archer doesn't say anything. The reason he hasn't said anything since he saw the seal on the roof is probably because he's realized its true nature as well. I'm pretty sure it's something else, but you know. This boundary field isn't on the level of just stealing someone's energy. If it's activated, it will literally dissolve the people inside of it. There are boundary fields that steal the spiritual or physical energy of the people inside them. But the field that's currently placed over the school is something else. This is a soul eating. Nothing else but a fortress of blood that melts the bodies of the people inside it and forcibly collects the outflowing souls. Normally, souls are difficult to work with. We take for granted that they exist, and they said to be an essential component of magecraft. But as few as one mage has ever actually understood the soul. A soul is simply something to be investigated or something to be transferred into a vessel. That's where our understanding stops. So not just to suck them out, but to collect them in one place is something incomprehensible. I mean, even if you could collect that kind of unconvertible energy, there's no way for a mage to use it. Which means if there is a point to it, that is...
アーチャー、あなたたちってそういうもの？
Unconsciously, I asked him in a cold voice.
ご推察の通りだ。我々は基本的に霊体だと言っただろう。故に食事は第2ないし第3要素となる。君たちが肉を栄養とするように、サーバントは精神と魂を栄養とする。栄養を取ったところで基本的な能力は変わらないが、取り入れれば取り入れるほどタフになる。つまり魔力の貯蔵量が上がっていく。
なるほど。The way to make your own servant stronger is to attack people indiscriminately.
マスターから提供される魔力だけじゃ足りないってこと？
足りなくはないが、大いに越したことはない。実力が劣る場合、弱点を武士で補うのが戦争だろ。
If Archer would have agreed, Rin would have figured out it's literally Shinji.
周囲の人間からエネルギーを奪うのは
Quote unquote Shinji.
マスターとしては基本的な戦
The
略
master,
だ。
quote unquote.
そういった意味で言え
Using a
ば、
buck.
この結界は効率がいい。
If you want to win, then kill people and strengthen me, is what Archer is saying. So simple. I already knew that. So I think I already know the path I should take from now on.
それ勘に触るわ。二度と口にしないで、アーチャー。
I declare as I stare at the drawn seal. Archer, for some reason, in an encouraged voice,
同感だ。私も真似をするつもりはない。
like that, he answers forcefully.
さて、それじゃ消そうか。無駄だろうけど、とりあえず邪魔をするぐらいにはなる。
I get closer to the drawn seal and hold out my left arm. The magic crest inscribed on my left arm is the inherited spellbook of the Tosaka family. With a flick, I flip the switch in my consciousness. I pass magical energy through the magic crest, load the section about eliminating boundary field. And now, in one breath, all I have to do is activate it. I touch the seal with my left hand, and at once I wash away the magical energy. Well, with that, I just washed the color out of it for the time being.
なんだよ、消しちまうのか？もったいねえ。
Here you go. Here we go. Suddenly, as though to keep us from erasing the boundary field, a third voice echoes across the rooftop. Instantly standing up, I turn around. Yo. On top of the water tower, he looks down on us from 10 meters up in the air. A deep blue that melts into the sky, into the night. The corners of his mouth are lifted up roughly and smell like a wild animal is carried to us on the wind. The beast's gaze is clear. The blue-clad man, regardless of this unusual situation, is looking at me like a friend he's had for 10 years.
これあなたの仕業？
いや、小細工を浪するのは魔術師の役割だ。俺たちはただ命じられたまま戦うのみ。だろ？そこの兄さんよ。
Playfully, but with a voice filled with bloodlust, the guy can see Archer.
やっぱりサーバント。
そうとも。で、それがわかるお嬢ちゃんは俺の敵ってことでいいのかな？
My spine freezes. The man's voice is casual, as though he's talking about nothing at all. To think that those are the coldest words I've ever heard, so frightening that they might make me feel like I'm going to throw up. How should I move? Or what is my best course of action is? I have no idea. Just, my good sense is telling me that whatever I do, I mustn't fight this man here.
ほう、大したもんだ。何もわからねえようで要点は抑えてやがれ。ああ、失敗したなこりゃ。面白がって声をかけるんじゃなかったぜ。
The man's arms come up. In an instant, his arm, that until now held nothing. Yo, it's Gabe Wolf. There's now a red weapon 2 meters long. Faster than I can think about it, I leap to the side. We're on the roof, so I can't just jump. Isn't a thought I have the luxury of. Anyway, as hard as I can, with all my strength, I leap to the side and hurl myself against the fence. A whirlwind makes my hair dance by a hair's breadth. Rushing forward in a flash without mercy, it slices through the fence and the air that I've been standing in just a second before.
いい足してるな、お嬢ちゃん。
The blue whirlwind is chasing me. There's nowhere to run. My back is up to the fence and to the left and right. No, it's no good. I'll never make it in time. My reaction is fast. I activate the magic press on my left arm, and in one move, I work some magic. Body mass shift and gravity adjustment. In an instant, my featherweight body easily takes flight. My featherweight body. Okay.
分かってる、任せて。
I jump over the fence and fall from the roof. The wind and pressure squeeze my body. It's about 50 meters to the ground. 7 seconds until landing. It's too slow. It'll definitely catch me.
フォックス、ゴッドレスアトラス。アーチャー、着地任せた。
I have Archer dead in the shock of the landing. As soon as my legs touch the ground, I start running. Anyway, I have to change the location. Not tight quarters like on the roof, but somewhere where we have some more freedom to move around. We have to move to a wider space with no cover, where Archer and I can play to our strengths. I dash from the roof to the courtyard in less than 7 seconds. The distance is over 100 meters, at a speed a normal person would only see a blur. But that...
いや、本気でいい足だ。ここで仕留めるのはいささかもったいなさすぎるか。
couldn't possibly have any meaning against a servant. Acha! As soon as I take a step back, Archer materializes in front of me. A cloudy night. Gripped in Archer's hand is a short sword that reflects a little bit of moonlight.
へえ
The corners of the man's mouth twist ominously.
いいねそう来なくっちゃ話が早いやつは嫌いじゃない
Whoosh, a whirlwind. That's the weapon he was holding on the rooftop, a spear, crimson like blood, that he came to kill me with.
ランサーのサーバント。
いかにもそういうあんたのサーバントはセイバーって感じじゃねえな何者だてめえ
There's not the slightest trace of his previous playfulness. Facing the mass of bloodlust the Lancer has become, Archer says not a word. There's less than 5 meters between the two of them. The weapon Lancer is holding is close to 2 meters long. I can't help but think that to the man who gives off the smell of a beast, the remaining 3 meters has no meaning at all.
まっとうな一騎打ちをするタイプじゃねえなてめえはってことはアーチャーか
Archer doesn't respond to his thoughts either. Oddly, red and blue confront each other. The falsely similar knights of two colors are already gauging each other's decisive attack. 好
みじゃねえが出会ったからにはやるだけだそら獲物を出せよアーチャーこれでも礼はわきまえているからなそれぐらいは待ってやる
No thanks, bro. Archer makes no sound. Answer. As though there's no need to speak to an enemy he had to defeat. His steely sword-like back declares. It's then that I realize I'm an idiot. Archer is only waiting for a single word from me.
アーチャー
Without getting any closer, I speak to his back.
手助けはしないわあなたの力ここで見せて
Was that a laugh? The corners of his mouth raised in response to my words, and the red knight dashes. What was he thinking here? I think he was excited. A whirling gust. A short sword in hand, the red bullet dashes forward. The responding blue spear thrusts. At the dashing archer is a gust of wind, and the counter-attacking spear point is the divine wind itself. A streaking blade, a flowing attack. Archer barely fends off the high-speed thrust of a spear with a short sword. The red coat stops. The enemy didn't allow the archer's dash. He's only allowed to close the distance by nearly 2 meters in the reach of the spear. For a long weapon, range is always something you keep. For Lancer with a weapon nearly 2 meters long, all he has to do is counterattack an enemy who enters his range. It's easier to pierce an enemy stepping toward you than it is to step out for an attack yourself. And yet, Lancer closed the range himself and didn't allow Archer to advance.
たわけ旧兵風情が接近戦を挑んだな
His temper is like raging fire. Lancer closes the distance with each attack, knowing no pause. For a long weapon, closing the distance is suicide. Stabbing the enemy while holding distance is controlling the fight. Controlling the fight is the battle of a spearman. Consequently, there's no chance of victory in Lancer's continued advance.
嘘
However, that's just what the book says. The throat, the shoulders, the forehead, the heart, there's no gap in the thrust of Lancer's spear, and no space to escape. The speed of the strike causes them to blur together. Each thrust of Lancer's spear that checks Archer, pushes him back, causes him to retreat. Could it be called certain death? However, no matter how much you say he's just a bowman, Archer is still a servant. No ordinary attack could be certain death against him. Archer narrowly parries the spear point thrust at his forehead, and faster than Lancer's spear, thus inside its reach. Based on its shape, you'd think that thrust is the main point of a spear, but the fundamental technique of spear is its swings. That's because a wide sweep using its length of spear doesn't allow the fence of stepping back to avoid it. A half-hearted retreat won't get you out of reach of the spear, and if you try to counter-attack by stepping through the swing, you'll only be slashed across the stomach. That said, if you step forward carelessly, you'll be repelled with a long shaft of the spear, and your ribs easily smash. Archer and Lancer are roughly the same build. For the unarmored archer, stepping into the range of the spear into those whirlwind-like sweeps is difficult. However, a thrust is a different matter. A lightning-fast thrust certain to strike you in a vital area is certainly frightening. But as long as the target is a point, if you see through the attack, there are plenty of ways to avoid it. Like Archer, if you strike the half of the incoming spear by slightly altering its course, you can create an opening. He probably underestimated him as just a bowman. The advantage of a long weapon are freedom, range, and distance. In narrowing the field himself, Lancer's defeat is the red coat stops, a nightmare as though time is flowing backwards. The oncoming attack is faster than the last one. Archer, trying to divert the strike, dodges out of the way, is thrown aside along with his sword. There's no opening in Lancer's recovery. No, it's not just that. The power and agility of Lancer's stress is increasing. By now, there is certain death, even for a servant. You were the ones who underestimated him. When it comes to that servant, to Lancer's spear, there's no buck to play by. Who could process that breathless flurry of blows? Archer retreats as he narrowly manages to parry the blows, and as a result, a short distance opens between them. In that opening, Lancer uses the distance to run up and unleash a still more powerful attack. The Tempest-like flurry of blows is nothing more than a repetition of such attacks, but each individual attack is a godlike technique. 10 already. No, truthfully, it's as many times more than that. The straightforward torrent of spear thrusts increase further in strength, continuing to fall on Archer like rain. They're not fast, they're just skillful. Lancer's spear never slows, it just comes forth like a waterfall. What can Archer do now that he's been forced on the defensive? With a short sword like that, all he can do is parry the spear. The continual retreating Archer has no means of getting closer to Lancer. An unfolding vacuum steel. Back up. I need to support Archer somehow, but I can't make a sound. My magic doesn't have precise aim. As long as Archer can't get a bigger distance from Lancer, he'll be caught up in it too. All that would do is make things even more advantageous for Lancer. What's more, truthfully, I'm fascinated. This is the fight between servants. This is the Holy Grail war itself, making use of the highest rank of familiar, one that mages cannot reach, the heroic spirit. Servants. Familiars with respective and individual roles bound to obey the seven masters. They are the highest level of familiar called heroic spirits, summoned forth by the Holy Grail itself. However, to call them familiars is misleading. Normally, a familiar is nothing more than something that runs errands in place of a mage. Something like a cat wearing a pair of tall boots, or a sweet little white bird, or a black dog that doesn't listen to its master. Well, something like that. A mere mage can only employ things of that level. After all, a familiar is just a familiar. It's just a mascot that does chores instead of its master, so for it to be stronger than its master, the mage is impossible. But servants are different. They're literally the strongest existence in all of humanity. It would be impossible to even for only 5 magicians who are said to exist to control them like that. I don't know. Let's see what Alco could do. And that's not because the summoning is different, or even because the abilities of a servant are beyond those mages. Servants are already themselves a thing that exists above magecraft. Let's speak frankly. Servants are the heroes of the past themselves. Myth, legend, fable, history. Real or not, the superhumans who have participated and become entrenched in legend are called heroes. The heroes who achieve permanence among humanity after death are removed from the category of humans and ascended to become something else. People who perform miracles, who save others, or who perform great works while they're alive or after they're dead, they're worshipped as heroes. Then they are who are worshipped ascend to become spirits called heroic spirits after death and become guardians of the human world. It doesn't matter if they were a real person or if they only existed in a legend. What creates a hero is people's conception. The heart that thinks, I wish I were like this, gives them form and worships them as a real thing. Truth or fiction doesn't matter to that. If there's familiarity and devotion to them as legends, that's enough for them to be realized. The ultimate ideals of humanity, the most excellent of all humans. Those are heroes and the heroic spirits. And naturally, they are who are greater than human cannot possibly be controlled by humans. Normally, mages borrow some measure of their power and use it to imitate them. That's it. Summoning and using a heroic spirit itself is something that is completely impossible. But the Holy Grail made that impossibility possible. A thing beyond the ability of humans, completely summoning the heroic spirit itself and anchoring it as a familiar in service to a master. And nonsense is just more proof of the infinite capacity of the Holy Grail. Like that, heroic spirits are summoned without regard to age, the closest being 100 years ago. The furthest back from the age of gods. You forgot the part where you can summon people from the future. Ooh. The 7 heroic spirits are each summoned to one of the 7 masters, defend their own and exterminate the enemy masters. Heroes from every age and every land are reborn in the present, and kill each other in the contest of supremacy. That is the reason this ritual is called the Holy Grail War. Although it seems there were limits even to the Holy Grail. Holy Grail or not, indiscriminately calling for something like the soul was something it couldn't do. In the same way that the realization of the 6th great element, called the devil, required a form invented by human. Heroic spirits require a form capable of acting in our world. That's their assumed name, the form allowed to them by this world. What the hell? The Grail provides vessels or classes in which heroic spirits can easily take form and allows only heroic spirits appropriate to those vessels to be summoned. Like a passport to the present, the Holy Grail prepares a role as a familiar in advance. The summoned heroic spirit possesses that role, and the Grail helps them to achieve a temporary materialization. Just as there were 7 masters, there are 7 heroic spirits bound to serve them. Classes apportioned to them in advance are also 7. The Knight of the Sword, Seba. The Knight of the Spear, Lanza. The Knight of the Bow, Acha. The Cavalryman, Rider. The Mage, Caster. And the Killer, Assassin. The Mad Warrior, Berserker, Bazaka. Only heroic spirits that match the attributes of the 7 classes are summoned to the present, become servants, and are bound to serve the masters. That's the servant system. The summoning and contracting of heroic spirits beyond the capacity of humans, bestowed in order to claim the Holy Grail, a miracle beyond their means. Only possible here on this ground is the strongest contest, the one and only Holy Grail War. An especially intense clash. A short sword that parried Lancer's spear like that is thrown from an archer's hand. It's Lancer's technique. The straight line thrust reverse into a sweep through Archer's wrist. For Archer, this is an attack he couldn't avoid even though he saw it coming. There is no effective way to parry a spear with a sword. If you throw it aside strongly, you will be cut with a faster return swing before you can recover. But if your parry is weak, then you won't create any openings at all. A fight between the sword and the spear can be summed up in how close with your opponent. How you close with your opponent and defeat him by fighting inside his preferred range. There's no hesitation in the Machium Lancer. His legs that were stepping in to pursue Archer's stop. I guess he means to decide this fight in an instant. Lancer solidly plants himself to the ground, and Archer, made weaponless, returns his gaze. In an instant, Lancer's spear loosened in the space of the breath was just a glint. It wasn't even visible. Forehead, neck, and heart. 3 thrusts, all of them deadly. But the flash that couldn't even be seen is thrown back by a pair of lights. A sword is gripped in Archer's hand again. Just like before, a Chinese-style sword calls to mind a machete. However, the greatest difference is the swords are a pair, held in both his hands. Left and right are symmetrical paired swords. Lancer's spear rushes forward. Its speed increases as though to say it will let Archer live no longer. The clash of weapons beating against my ears is like well-played music. The ringing of steel on steel. There's never a pause in the sparks falling from the meaning of their weapons, and the rhythm of their blows increases without limit. Their fight is like a vacuum. Swallows of the air around them, even getting close, you're liable to be cut. In truth, it's only an instant. But to me watching it, I can't help but feel it goes on for so long I have trouble breathing. Lancer, trying to not let Archer into his guard. And Archer, closing the distance with his two swords as a shield. Their weapons clash over 100 times, and each time Archer loses a weapon. But that, too, is only for an instant. In the next instant, there is a sword in Archer's hand. And Lancer is pushed a little bit backward. Forced into this unfavorable position, Lancer recognizes his carelessness. He knows not who the enemy in front of him is. But if he underestimates him as just a bowman any further, the defeat will be his own. The range between them opens. Perhaps to retain control of the fight, Lancer creates a larger distance between them. That quickness isn't normal. Archer's charge was abnormal, but compared to Lancer, it's still slow. The movement of Lancer gaining distance in an instant had the speed and grace of a leopard itself.
27. それだけ弾き飛ばしてもまだあるとはな。
Lancer mutters, irritated. No, that's not irritation so much as bafflement. I feel the same way. According to my father, servants only have only one weapon. Those weapons wrapped in the strongest magical energy aren't something you can pull out one after another the way Archer does. Servants are the spirits of heroes who after their death ascended to the same rank as souls or sacred spirits. To put it in another way, they're close to the likes of angels or demons. They're powerful familiars all on their own, but their strongest weapon is the proof of a hero. That is, the magic item called the Noble Phantasm. A Noble Phantasm is the favorite weapon or armor that the servant used while they were a hero, used literally as an ace in the hole. For a servant, a Noble Phantasm is their one and only armament. This is also because Noble Phantasm himself is an unequaled ultimate weapon. Take Lancer's spear. If I wanted to, I'm sure that he could demonstrate its abilities as Noble Phantasm. Noble Phantasms are superlative weapons by themselves, but their real strength is in the power that they can release through their true name. The weapons of the heroes that reign over all other weapons that once killed dragons or killed gods. Using their own magical energy, servants can activate these noble phantasms. Now that I say it, it's the same as magic. Servants use noble phantasms as a catalyst and recreate the legendary destruction. Noble phantasms aren't something you can just use and throw away. However, many dozens of swords Archer has pulled out, certainly they all seem to be famous blades, but I doubt that they're his noble phantasm. He's the servant Archer. Therefore, the noble phantasm he's hiding must be a bow.
どうしたランサー、様子見とは君らしくないな。先ほどの勢いはどこに行った？
タヌキが減らず口を叩きやがるか。
Lancer's irritation is completely natural. Lancer's fought as a spearman, while Archer fought as a swordsman and still managed to push him this far. He hasn't shown any of what he can do as an archer. It's natural for Lancer to feel like hell.
いいぜ、聞いてやるよ。てめえどこの英雄だ？二頭使いの旧兵なぞ聞いたことがない。
そういう君は分かりやすいな。僧兵には最速の英雄が選ばれるというが、 君はその中でもえりすぐりだ。これほどの宗師は世界に3人といまい。加えて獣のごとき敏捷さといえばおそらく1人。
Well, you know, fucking Emmy is kind of cheating. He actually knows who the hell who he is for the start.
ほう、よく言ったアーチャー。
A moment, in the face of the overwhelming bloodlust, I forgot to breathe. Oh, it's gay bulge. Lance's arm moves. Unlike up until now, there's not an amount of scorn in his stance. The tip of his spear lowered as though to stab the ground. Lancer pierces Archer with just his eye.
ならば食らうか。我が必殺の一撃を。
止めはしない。いずれ越えねばならぬ敵だ。
Lancer's body sinks to the ground. At the same time, a thorny chill overruns the schoolyard. The air freezes. That's not a metaphor, it's really freezing. The mana filling the air is all freezing. Right now in this place, the only one allowed to breathe is the warrior called Lancer. The spear in Lancer's hand is undoubtedly some sort of magic spear. Right now, it's waiting for the instant to search for its true form. But this is bad, Lancer. He's going to die. I don't know what sort of noble fantasm that thing is, but Archer is going to die. It's the first time I had this kind of intuition, so it's hard to believe. But there's no mistaking it. I mean, she doesn't know about his raw eyes. Anyway, if that spear streaks out Archer will die. That's absolute. Literally, Lancer's spear carries the meaning of certain death. Archer will be defeated. If Lancer pierces his heart, Archer will die. And yet, even though I predicted this much, I can't even help Archer. If I move even a finger, that will be the signal to start. Therefore, if in this fight something could stop Archer's defeat, that will be
誰だ。
nothing other than the chance entry of the third party that we've overlooked. It's Silver for Shiro and Miyashita. The ferocity loosened by Lancer disappears. The sound of retreating footsteps. From behind, there was no mistaking the school uniform.
生徒まだ学校に残ってたの？
そのようだな。おかげで命拾いしたが。
How does he know he's a him? Ooh, why does he know? Archer speaks calmly. Well, we certainly were saved. Well, Emil was trying his best to be like, don't follow that student and leave him to die.
失敗した。ランサーに気を取られて周りの気配に気づかなかった。で、アーチャー、あんた何してんの？
見てわからないか。手が空いたから休んでいる。
Fucking hates Emil, man.
んなわけないでしょ。ランサーはどうしたのよ。
さっきの人影を追ったよ。目撃者だからな。おそらく消しに行ったのだろう。
He wants him erased. For an instant, all my thoughts stop.
追ってアーチャー。私もすぐに追いつくから。
Instantly, Archer takes off after him.
くそ、なんて間抜け。
I curse my own carelessness. Erasing witnesses is a rule among mages. So if you don't want to do that, then just don't create any witnesses. I'd always managed to do that up until now. So why today of all days did I have to feel like this? A night spirit, even of moonlight. In the horribly cold hallway, a student collapsed on the floor in the shape of an archer standing over him. Archer's planning to kill him for real. He's wordlessly gazing down at the student. And his brain is like, yeah, finally. A smell assails my nose. Looking at the blood flowing out of the floor, I learned that this is the scent of death.
追ってアーチャー。ランサーはマスターのところに戻るはず。せめて相手の顔ぐらい把握しないと。
Archer chases after a lancer. All that remains is me and the student lying face down on the floor. Hey, I've seen this, I think I've seen this effect as well in Tsukihime. Well, early 2000s was a different time. I can't look at them directly, but I had to. This is my fault. This is my fault. This is my fault. When I was a child, ever since I decided to become the heir of the Tosaka, I prepared myself for something like this. There's no good or evil for mages. That on this road, there's only your own blood and the blood of others. I'd made peace with that a long time ago.
ランサーの槍で一突きか。心臓やられてちゃ助からない。
I don't know how many seconds ago Lancer killed them. Just that it's the heart that was pierced. Is that lucky or unlucky? Lancer's blow is in the simple external wounds, I guess. The flow of blood from the ruptured heart isn't severe. It's not severe, but if blood can no longer get to the brain, that's the end. No. In the first place, if the heart was destroyed, it probably wouldn't be a mistake to call that instant death.
その割にはまだ死んでないってのはすごいな。
Yeah. Maybe it's death throes, but he's still faintly breathing. But that too is just for another few seconds. He can't heal his own wounds himself, and I don't have the power to save him either.
顔を見ないと。それぐらいはしなくちゃ。
Couldn't she tell from the back of his head? He's the only one who has that hair color. When I tried to reach down toward him lying face down on the floor, I realized that my fingers had won't move. Oh, she kind of realized, I guess. They're shaking. Why, I wonder. I'm used to things like this. I made choices like this many times up until now. I've lost many counts to my own mistakes and my own selfishness. So, I resolved myself knowing that one day, a day like this would come. So why? Why am I so angry at myself?
ごめんね。見とるぐらいはしてあげる。
I will my fingers and my knees, even now seeming that like they might collapse, to stop shaking and check the face of the fallen student. With a crash, really, a feeling like the back of my head was hit with a hammer.
やめてよね。なんだってあんた
Here we go. I grind my teeth, not to stop my shaking. I'm really angry. Why is it him? Why of all people does it have to be him? I'm not the slightest bit angry at Lancer, who eliminated the witness with all the skillfulness of a servant. Just, I can't help but hate him for having to stay here on a day like this, at a time like this. Sakura's face floats into my mind. I'm sure she'll cry. And while I'm thinking about it, I can't help but recall a red evening after school relatively. Was it while jumping on a vault, jumping over a vault? Full jumping. Fucking, it's that fucking scene. The distant glow of sunset. Someone running endlessly. I knew it. And the bored girl, ideally watching him from far away. And then, in front of me, the body of someone who happened to get caught up in all of this. It always never fails. There's a way. It could fail and cost me my trump card, but there's a way. And, well, whether it succeeds or fails, I'll lose my trump card. So either way, the result for me is the same. That's a mistake. That he's dying. In a sense that that's already the end. It's my fault for not realizing there was another person around. And his fault for having the bad luck to still be at school. So there's no reason for me to go that far. I mean, that's right. In the first place, this is a thing that Dad who left behind nothing else, left just for me. to emerge from this battle victorious, a powerful mass of magical energy, and an absolute last resort. A precious thing, just for me.
だからなんだってのよ、バカ。
I shake it off and kneel in front of the guy seeming instant away from that.
やっちゃった。
The pendant held in my hand glows brighter. I dropped the pendant, the memento of my father, already almost totally empty, onto the guy who was until just recently moments from death.
まあ、仕方ないか。
Yeah, it couldn't be helped. Shogunai. I had no power or technique that could revive someone whose heart was damaged, whose veins were injured, and who, on top of that, was mere moments away from brain dead. So, well, I had no choice but to patch up what was left by force.
まだ息があるのが運の尽きだった。完全に死んでいたら、どんなに魔力の蓄えがあっても蘇生なんてできなかったし。
But since he was still alive, by doing as much as I could, I was able to save him.
失敗してたら目も当てられなかったけど、成功したからいっか。ええ、正直に言えば充実感あるしね。こういう経験も悪くはなかったわ。
I say, putting as brave a face on it as I can.
行こう。済んだことは済んだこと。こいつが目を覚ます前に帰らないと。
That's right. There's no point in staying in this place any longer. Archer is tailing Lancer right now, so go home by yourself. And on the way home, I remember. I forgot it. The magic drained from it. Now just a normal pendant. Still at the school.
もういいか。
I don't have any use for it anymore. There might still be a little bit of magical energy in it, but less than any of the 10 jewels that I'm carrying right now. What Dad wanted to leave to me was magical energy to win the Great War with. There's no meaning in it now that all that energy is used up. Without even saying a word, without even saying I'm home, I enter the house and sit heavily down on the sofa. Archer hasn't come home yet. I let out a relaxing sigh and spend a few minutes vacantly listening to the sound of the clock.
いい加減頭を切り替えなくちゃ。あれだけの戦いを経験しておいて、何ほうけてるんだ私。
I stand up crisply. For now, I'll make some tea. I have a mountain of things to think about, the especially important ones. Oh, wait. Sorry. My package got delayed for some reason. External factors? What the fuck? What the hell does that even mean? Give me a second. That bothered me like, holy shit. Anyway, well, if FedEx, fucking FedEx, Jesus fucking Christ, FedEx. Oh, okay, let me continue now, bro. Just now, I actually went this battle again between servants, something that I've only known up until now. Okay, I need to regain my focus.
ランサーか。宝具を使われそうになった時は焦ったけど、実際使ってたら正体は分かったのよね。
Yeah, and Archer would have just used his raw eyes. Learning their identity is a shortcut to defeating an enemy servant. Taking that idiot who doesn't even know his own identity as an exception, the greatest weak point of any servant is their true name. That's because just by learning a servant's true name, their identity, you can mostly get an idea what sort of noble phantasm they have. It goes without saying, but as heroic spirits, they have a firm legend attached to them. If you can unravel that, then you can reveal the major portion of their abilities, except for someone who comes from the future. The reason the servants are called by their class names in short is to hide their true name. In any case, the weak points and secret weapons of the famous heroes are well known. Wait, Archer is an archer is because of the thing he can do with unlimited blade works? Or is it the fact that his he could overcharge little phantasms? Anyway, whatever. Heroic spirits who become servants will never reveal their own identity. The only ones who know the servant's identity is their master. This even goes as far as an implicit understanding that masters will seek out the identities of other servants while continuing to hide their own identity, hide the identity of their own, which is what Kure is doing. This is the Fifth Holy Grail War. The relative strength of all the servants is, of course, determined by the rank of the heroic spirits that are summoned. The most famous heroes and bearers of superlative weapons are the stronger, goes without saying. Although summoning such heroic spirits is difficult. To summon a heroic spirit, you need some kind of link to them, like a piece of equipment that they use in life. The possessions of heroes are few enough to be counted by the magic association. That's why, for the most part, like me, form a number of heroic spirits. You summon the ones who matches you the most. The strength of a servant is determined by the rank of the heroic spirit. But nothing is quite that simple. No matter how powerful the heroic spirit, they can have a handicap imposed on them by the class that they're given. Because of the special abilities of each class, there's a possibility of the weak overthrowing the strong. The 7 classes each have additional abilities, and depending on the compatibility of the ability, it's possible to defeat even a higher rank opponent. As an example, it's said that a relatively unknown hero has struck down a great hero in each of the last 4 wars. As far as I know, the strongest servant is Seiba. Each of the last 4 times, the servant Saber has survived until the end. It's said that the 3 classes Saber, Lancer, and Archer all have powerful magic resistance. Frankly, it's difficult to affect them with magic at all. In any case, they're warriors who fought through battles in the Age of Myth, when true magic was natural and commonplace. Except for the guy who was from the future. I bet that magic used by mages today would just vanish as soon as it touched them. Well, for that reason, these 3 classes are valued as fundamentally the best. The one to be careful of outside of those is the servant Bazaka. Heroic spirits summoned into the class lose their reason. They turn into mad warriors who act as literal puppets of their master, but in return their abilities they possess in life are greatly enhanced. Although the stronger a servant is, the greater the burden they place on their master. In the past, servants who drew berserkers were unable to control their rampaging servant and destroyed themselves when they ran out of magical energy, without even a single exception. That's why Ilya is so lucky. Ilya was a really good, is very compatible with like, Heracles. 9 times out of 10, victory in the Holy Grail War is decided by the abilities of the summoned servants. There are probably ways to win according to the war master's hard work, but fundamentally it's a fight between servants. I mean, Kenny can only do so much, right? It's for that reason, especially the masters, had to pay meticulous attention to the servant's summoning. Yeah, Lancer being defeated in the last war was purely Kenny being fucking smart about things. Jesus, yeah, that was a very smart win what Kenny did. Alone, I agonize over our battle plan from now on. While I'm doing that, the clock strikes 11, of course. I've already set it back to the right time, and Archer returns home.
おかえりなさい。成果はどう？
すまない。失敗した。よほど用心深いマスターだったのだろう。少なくとも、こちら側の町にはランサーのマスターはいなかった。
Fucking tree, man. Like I thought. Lancer was alone after all. So it seems Lancer's master isn't the type to show his face on the battlefield directly.
そう。まあ、簡単にはいかないわよね。
Yeah. Nothing ever goes exactly how you expect. So there's no help for it. Well, we'll give up and think of tonight as a tuition fee.
覇気がないな、マスター。いつもの伊勢はどうした？まさか、先の一戦でおじけづいたというのはなしだぞ。君が命じるのなら、今すぐにでもランサーとの再戦に赴いてもいい。
What the fuck is Emiya? Jesus, Emiya. No, in fact, that's what we should do. Archer protests wordlessly. Oh shit. My mouse went to the different screen. There you go. I see. So I looked at press.
そんなわけないでしょ。私が打って出ないのはね、単に無駄手間をしたくないだけなんだから。
無駄手間をしたくない？
だって、まだマスターの数が揃ってないでしょ。今夜のはやむなしだったけど、開戦の合図があるまで戦わないわ。
そうか。君の父親もマスターだったのか。
Now it makes sense, says the comprehending Archer. Then, troubled, his face clouds over.
何よ。何か言いたいことでもあるの？
ああ、一つ聞き忘れていた。リン。君は幼い頃からマスターになるべく育てられ、それに従ってきたのだろう。つまり、初めからマスターになることを予想していたわけだ。
当たり前じゃない。それはいきなりマスターに任命される魔術師もいるそうだけど、私は別よ。
そうだろう。
Oops.
なら、目的が塔にあるはずだ。私はそれを聞き忘れていた。主の望みを知らなければ、私も剣を預けられない。リン。それで、君の願いは何だ？
願い？そんなの別にないけど。
何？
Archer is making a pretty amusing face.
そんなはずはあるまい。聖杯とは願いを叶える万能の杯だ。マスターになるということは聖杯を手に入れるということだというのに、叶える願いがないとはどういうことだ？
Archer asked me with a serious face. I see. What the master will wish for if they grant the Holy Grail does concern the servant. But that's funny. Dad said the servants have their own wishes, but those wishes belong totally to the servant. Whether I have a wish or not, I don't think that's something for Archer to worry about.
よし、明確な望みがないのであれば、漠然とした願いはどうだ？例えば、世界を手にするといった風な。
What the hell is Emiya doing right now? What the hell is Emiya doing?
なんで？世界なんてとっくに私のものじゃない。あのね、アーチャー。世界ってのはつまり自分を中心とした価値観でしょ？そんなものは生まれた時から私のものよ。そんな世界を支配しろって言うんなら、私はとっくに世界を支配している。
I like how she approached it philosophically. Archer looks at me with a quizzical expression. I'm stunned. She really is stiff.
バカな。聖杯とは望みを叶える力。現実の世界を手にできる力だぞ。それを求めるというのに、何も望まないというのか、君。
だって世界征服もめんどくさいし、そんな無駄なことを願っても仕方がないでしょ。あなた割と想像力が貧困ね。
理解に苦しむな。それでは何のために戦う？
What am I fighting for?
そこに戦いがあるからよ、あーちゃん。ついでにもらえるものはもらっておく。聖杯がなんだかは知らないけど、いずれ欲しいものができたら使えばいいだけでしょ。人間生きていれば欲しいものなんて限りないんだし。
Bruh, why don't you just do it like how Mary Malice Birdie did? Just a lot of cash, bro. Just a lot of cash to be Chaldea.
つまり君は
ええ。ただ勝つために戦うの、あーちゃん。
Archer slumps his shoulders with a sigh. I guess he's exasperated with what I had to say. It seems the tension has finally come out of his shoulders.
参った。確かに君は私のマスターにふさわしい。
Huh. I have trouble dealing with that expression. So I wonder if he couldn't stop that.
サーバントにマスターを選ぶ権利はないけど、一応聞いとく。なんで私があなたのマスターにふさわしいのよ。
言うまでもない。君は間違いなく最強のマスターだ。使える相手としてこれ以上のものはない。
What the hell is Archer doing?
そう、ありがとう。あなたに言われるなら世辞ってわけじゃなさそうだし。
I'm blushing, so I look away. Despite being such a cynic, Archer says things like that so directly. That's why I can't deal with him. But well, that he trusts me honestly makes me happy. I trust Archer, and he trusts me. I think this feeling of solidarity isn't such a bad thing.
さて、ならば一息入れようか。7人目のマスターが現れるにせよ、それは今すぐというわけでも。と、ちょっと待て、リン。
You just remembered.
君、
It's
あの
nice.
飾りはどうした？
飾りってペンダントのこと？ああ、あれなら忘れてきちゃった。もう何の力もないものだし、別に必要ないでしょ。
それはそうだが、君がそう言うならいいが。
ええ、父さんの形見だけど、別に思い出はあれだけってわけじゃない。
よくはない。そこまで強くあることはないだろう、リン。
After saying that as though he were judging me, Archer pulls out the pendant that I forgot it at school. Kinda makes you think, did Archer go back? Did Archer go back and try to retrieve the pendant? But why did he ask that question?
拾いに行ってくれたんだ、あーちゃん。
もう忘れるな。それはリンにしか似合わない。
Oh my god, Emiya. Oh my god. This is where you messed up. I guess he's embarrassed. Archer averts his gaze as he hands over the pendant. That's many years ago.
じゃあ、ありがとう。
Without really knowing why, I take it from him. Truthfully, I'm not sure if it's okay to blush, or if I should coolly play it off. The pendant is just as it was, just like I thought. Any way you look at it, there's no magical energy left in it. Now that it's empty, it's valuable, but nonetheless, it's just a jewel, and there's no power in it. But to put it in Archer's words, even if there's no power left in this pendant, the meaning it has in being left to me by my father still remains. In that case, trading my trump card for saving his life too, maybe I can laugh off as being truly a good thing.
って待った。
Something's bothering me. Did she realize? Of course not yet. I wasn't thinking clearly because I regretted what happened, but thinking about it calmly, something doesn't add up. Now that he's seen us, it's dangerous if we don't alter his memory. More than anything, Lancer prioritized eliminating the witness over his fight with us. Lancer's thinking should be the same as his master's. In that case, Having already gone that far, what will he do if the person Lancer was supposed to have killed didn't actually die?
そんなやつ生かしておかない。
Wait, how would Lancer know that Shiro is still alive? I don't know. It just works that. Oh, it had him double check and clean up the body or something, and then realize, oh, he's not dead. Anyway, I stand up from the sofa. It's been 3 hours. We might not make it in time, but having done that much to save him, we have to, don't we? I run through the night. Fortunately, I know where his house is. I wonder why. No, it's not that I checked it out. It's just a house that someone I know visits sometimes. Until now, I've never been there myself. Oh, you keep tabs on Sakura so much.
まったく余計な苦労を背負おうとしているぞ
I
君は
was trying his best to be like, don't have to bother with that Emiya dude. Archer doesn't have any motivation. He criticized that I saved him from dying in the first place, and that I was running off to save him again. 12 a.m. Under the night sky, hidden by the clouds, we reached a samurai house. At the edge of the neighborhood, at the house of the outskirts of town, there is no sign of anyone. There are only a few houses nearby, and even if something were to happen, I don't think anyone would run over to look. My breath is white. The wind has started blowing. It must be pretty strong. The clouds are slowing swiftly. The Fuyuki wind that's supposed to be warm sends a chill down my back, and my whole body shivers. Even if you say that the town of Fuyuki is warm, at the top of the hill, the temperature is that of a normal winter. The air is frozen and crisp. I strain my ears in the freezing air, with my senses dominated by the frozen air, and suddenly I feel the presence of an enemy.
いる。さっきのサーバント。
I bite my lip. The presence is on the other side of his wall. Lancer has already snuck inside the house and is already trying to kill the guy who came home oblivious to what happened.
飛び越えて倒すしかない。その後のことはその時に考える。
At the same time that I order Archer to go in. With a flash, like the sun had fallen to the ground, a white light surges out of the house. The presence is eclipsed by another presence. The wave of a servant power called Lancer is erased by an even larger wave of power. The instantaneous exploded ether gives flesh to the spirit, and that materialized thing was summoned to overwhelm Lancer.
嘘。
I can only whisper, but it's obviously the truth. As proof, look. Just now, Lancer leaped over the wall and disappeared, as though fleeing from the house.
ねえ、アーチャー。これも、もしもの話？
さあなだがこれで7人ついに数が揃ったぞリン
Archer answers calmly. I've lost my normal judgment. That's why I couldn't even consider the easily imagined thing that happens next. The wind blows especially strong. Clouds conceal the sky like an umbrella. The lightless street is suddenly shut up in the darkness. The servant leaps over the wall, flutters down like an evil bird. It's over, Archer. Archer reacted, but I couldn't react. That was my failure. The fight ended up in that opening that didn't even last a second. Even if it was just a second for me. For that servant, it was an opening that was impossible to let pass. A storm of blades closes in on me.
アーチャー。
Archer throws me out of the way, and the servant who cuts down Archer. Really, only an instant. Was Archer, who had splendidly held off Lance's ferocious attacks, really struck down with only a single blow?
アーチャー、消えて。
But this time I made it in time. In the instant that the enemy servant's blade would have cut through Archer's neck, I forced him to withdraw. A throbbing pain in my right hand. It must have been quite an unreasonable order and an unreasonable action. One of the command spells on my right hand disappears. With that, I only have one left. But this is for the best. If it's to keep Archer from dying, then losing 1 or 2 command spells is. Paying no mind to the disappeared Archer, the servant comes to attack me. I pull a topaz with a wind spell sword in it from my pocket, and just like that, without even processing it, I slam the magical energy into the enemy servant. The thing, which could blow away a house or 2 without a trace, is a mass of wind spells that I habitually stored up little by little. It's one of the 10 gems I've been storing magical energy without a day's rest for 17 years. I'm using all of it, so even if it's not enough to take them out, to slow them down should be not enough. There's nothing I can do. The gust of wind that should have instantly tear to pieces anything caught in it vanishes like a parlor trick in the instant it touches her. What a powerful magic resistance. Magical energy of a mage's level can't hurt this servant at all. It's over, Rin. It's no use. The magic has no effect, and without Archer's protection, I have no way of stopping the servant. Although I barely managed to dodge a single attack, that's the end. I look up at the night sky. Oh man, this is Tsukimi all over again. Standing there, lowering her hand toward me as I shamefully lie on the ground, is the calm form of the Angel of Death. Tsukihime. It's over. It's over. Yo, I can see Excalibur. What the fuck? I thought it was supposed to be invisible. The wind blows. A break in the clouds. The moon peeks through the spiral sky. Moonlight pouring down and her exceedingly beautiful features. This is what forced Lancer to flee. What struck down my archer in a single stroke. The form of the serpent canceled my magic as though it were nothing.
今の魔術は見事だった、メイガス。
Magus. A young girl's bell-like voice. Yeah. Right now, even her voice is like a nightmare.
だが最後だ、アーチャーのマスターよ。
The sword thrust against me gleams. There, at the moment of my death, I understand. Without any proof for it, I understand it at a glance. This is the card I wanted. The hero of the sword is said to be the strongest of all servants. Resigned to death, I look up at the moon. God, that's Tsukihime all over again. There's no opening to run away or to beg for my life. I'll die here, and Tosaka Rin's Holy Grail War will end on the 3rd day. There, with nothing but scorn and regret, I'll exit hating my enemy. And yet I feel nothing. Really, something must be wrong with me. To think that in but a moment I'll surely be killed, and yet once again I'm fascinated. That's right. It's certainly frustrating, but I also think I can't help it, Shogun. My killer, the strongest servant, her form is just heartless, limitlessly gallant, and frustratingly beautiful. It's over, Rin. It's over. Here we go, opening. Yo! Yo! Solution. Low res version. Yo, he really does look like a millionaire. Oh god! Oh, you guys don't see it. Don't worry, I'll play it again. Nice. Wait, let me play the non-shit version. Or rather the more yeah, there you go. We'll do this again.
夢に見ていたあの日の影に届かない叫び明日の自分はなんて書いても消えない願いに濡れるこぼれ落ちるかけらを掴むその手で揺れる心抱えて飛び込んでけ夜へ誰かのために来てこの時が全てでいいでしょう見せかけの自分はそっと捨ててただありのままで
All right. Wait. I'll be right back, and we'll continue this entire thing. All right, let's continue. All right, let's continue. Or rather, let's start. With blood of steel and a heart of glass, undefeated across countless battlefields, never once retreating, nor even once understood, he always alone, sick with victory atop a hill of swords, that his life has no meaning. Surely his body was made out of swords. When I came to, I was in a burning field. I guess there must have been a huge fire. The town that I knew was entirely in ruins, like the remains of a battlefield you'd see in a movie. That won't continue for long either. When dawn came, the fire grew weaker. The wall of fire had been so high, shrank down, and the buildings mostly collapsed. And all that, it was a strange feeling that the only thing that kept its original form was me. And at this place, I'm the only one still alive. I guess I was pretty lucky, or that my house was built in a lucky spot. I didn't know which one it was. But anyway, the only one still alive was me. I thought that so long that I'd survive, I had to live. It's dangerous to stay here forever, I thought, so I started walking aimlessly. It's not that I didn't want to be charred black like the people falling down around me. Surely more than the feeling of not wanting to become like them. My heart was bound by a stronger feeling. Live! Even so, I didn't have any hope. It was strange that I even kept living this long, so I couldn't imagine that I could be saved. In the first place, I won't be saved. Whatever I do, there's no leaving this red world. It was such an absolute hell that even a young child could understand that. And so, I collapsed. I'm not sure there was no oxygen, or if I'd finally just lost the ability to breathe. Anyway, I collapsed and stared up at the sky that began to cloud over. Around me were the shapes of people, burned black and unmoving. Dark clouds hid the sky and taught me that rain would fall soon. That's good. If it rains, the fire will go out. At the end, I took a deep breath and looked up at the sky rain clouds. I couldn't even breathe, yet I just thought, it hurts. In the place of the people who could no longer see even those words, I spoke my honest feelings. That was 10 years ago. After that, miraculously, I was saved. In that way, my body survived. But the other parts of me were charred black and burnt up. And if their parents, their home, and all the other related things are gone, there's nothing left for a small child. So everything apart from my body was reset to zero. If you summarize it, I think it's a simple story. In other words, in exchange for my body being allowed to survive, it was my heart that died. I'm dreaming. I squinted at the first white light. It's bright, I thought. All that happened was I opened my eyes and the light came into them. But I wasn't used to that happening. Most likely, I didn't even understand what brightness was to begin with. I could see lines on the roof, on the ceiling. There are lines. Doctor, what am I? Just kidding. This is Tsukahime all over again. When my eyes adjusted, I was surprised. I was laid down in a bed I didn't recognize, in a room I'd never seen before. I was totally surprised, but the room was white and it had clean feel to it, so I was able to relax.
どこだろう?
I idly looked at my surroundings. The room was big, lined with plenty of beds. There were people in all of the beds, and all of them seemed to be injured. But there was no sense that anything was wrong in this room. All the injured people were people who had already been saved. I relaxed and let my eyes wander. Out the window, a clear blue sky was unbearably beautiful. From there, a few days passed, and gradually I was able to grasp what happened. I was able to remember what happened in the last few days with no problems. But even so, at that time, it was no different from a newborn baby. That's not ridicule. It's pretty close to the truth. Anyway, it was a terrible fire. I was rescued from the fire when I came to. I was in the hospital room. My parents had disappeared, and my whole body was wrapped in bandages. What happened wasn't clear to me. I only understood vaguely that I was alone. I think I accepted that pretty quickly. Well, since all the kids around me were just like me, I didn't really have any choice but to accept it. Then after that, when I started worrying about what would happen to me, in the way a child does, all of a sudden he came along. On the day that my bandages were taken off, I was able to eat by myself. He came by. A wrinkled suit and an unruly hair. He looked a little bit younger than the doctor, so he seemed more like a big brother than a father.
こんにちは。君がシロー君だね。
Yo, it's Kenny! A smile that seemed to melt into the white sunlight. A voice that I thought was unbearably suspicious and unbelievably kind.
率直に聞くけど、孤児院に預けられるのと、初めて会ったおじさんに引き取られるの、君はどっちがいいかな？
He was asking if it was alright for him to adopt me. When I tried asking him if he was a relative, he answered that he was unmistakably a complete stranger. Well, anyway, he looked like an unreliable guy who wasn't going anywhere. But between him and the orphanage, there was no changing that I didn't know either of them. That being the case, I decided to go with him.
そうか。よかった。なら早く身支度を済ませよう。新しい家に一日でも早く慣れなくっちゃいけないからね。
I live in a very huge house, boy. He hurried, starting packing a suitcase. Even though I was just a child, I could tell his packing wasn't very good. And after he finished jamming everything untidily into the suitcase.
大切なことを言い忘れた。うちに来る前に一つだけ教えなくちゃいけないことがある。
Is that okay? He asked. His look over his shoulder was so casual. It was like he was just going to ask where we were going.
はじめに言っておくとね、僕は魔法使いなんだ。
Oh, you're not. You're a magician. Oh, fuck, you know. Exaggeratedly and with total seriousness, he said that. It happened in an instant. Thinking about it now, I was just a kid. I couldn't tell if those words were serious or a joke, but believing him as though it was totally natural.
じいさんすごいな。
With sparkling eyes, apparently I said that in return. After that, I became his child. Honestly, I don't much remember what we talked about then. Dad just talked about the memory at every opportunity. Bashfully, he brought it up again and again. Because of that, for my father, for Emiya Kuritsugu, that might have been the happiest thing that ever happened to him. I mean, considering what he did. And to the kid who lost his parents and his home in an accident, the dad who casually said that I'm a magician was still dad. And the me who envied him with shining eyes was also me, I think. Like that, I became his son. I received the name Emiya. Emiya Shiro. When I said my name like that I had the same name as Kuritsugu made me so proud I couldn't bear it. I'm dreaming. A story from when I was a kid. It's from just after I convinced Dad to make me his apprentice. So it must be around 8 years ago. When I was old enough to look after the house by myself, Kuritsugu started frequently leaving the house. In his usual tone, Kuritsugu would say childish stuff like, "Today I'm going on an adventure all over the world." And then he would really do it. From then on, it was always like that. It was normal for him to be away for a month at a time. In the worst case, there were times when he came home once every 6 months. The Emiya household is a big samurai-style mansion, and the only ones living in it were me and Kuritsugu. The Emiya house was too big for a kid like me, so there were times when I didn't know what to do. Still, I like living like that. Emiya Kuritsugu always returned from his trips and boasting about them like a kid, and the child with his name excitedly wanting to hear those stories. I was always alone at home, but that loneliness was made up by Kuritsugu's tales of his adventures. The father ever chasing his dreams like a boy. I was exasperated with him, but he was always dazzling to me. So maybe that's why I wish that someday I could be like him too. Well, while we're here, even though I was just a kid, seeing my father always chase his dreams like that made me think that I needed to be dependable though. That's why he likes cleaning things, fixing the household. Especially the one where you broke through the roof, the ceiling. I make good tea. Anyway, I hear a sound. The absurdly hard sound of an old, poorly fitted door with rusted hinges opening. Light shines in the dark shed. My mind trying to rouse itself from sleep.
先輩起きてますか？
Hears the sound of approaching feet. Feels the winter air.
おはようさくら。
おはようございます先輩。先輩朝ですよ。まだ時間はありますけど、ここで眠っていたら藤村先生に怒られます。
そうだな。よく起こしに来てくれた。いつもすまない。
そんなことありません。先輩いつも朝は早いですから、こんな風に起こしに来れるなんてたまにしかありません。
I don't know what she's so happy about, but Sakura is in an unusually good mood.
そうかな。結構さくらには起こされてるぞ俺。けど藤姉には叩き起こされるからさくらの方が助かる。これに懲りずに次は頑張る。
I answer, still half awake, asleep. Looks like I'm half asleep myself. I'm not really using my head, so even I don't know what I'm saying.
わかりました。でも頑張ってもらわない方が嬉しいです。私
Sakura is giggling. This is bad. I'm still not awake yet, and it looks like I said something weird.
ちょっと待ってくれ。すぐ起きるから。
Cold winter air comes in handy at times like these. The cold mercilessly slaps my underslept and slow-moving mind awake. Before my eyes is my kohai, Mato Sakura. They didn't even bother. Oh, right. Oh, that's how they do it. Because I was like, they didn't bother to translate what kohai meant, and then yeah, I already know what kohai is. I'm just surprised that you could do that. I didn't know that was a function. I didn't know that was a feature. Anyway, this is the shed outside my house, and the time has just hit 6 in the morning.
先輩
目が覚めた。ごめんなさくら。またやっちまった。朝の支度手伝わないといけないのに。
そんなのいいんです。先輩夕べも遅かったんでしょ。なら朝はゆっくりしてください。
Sakura says in a lively voice. That's unusual. Sakura really does seem happier and more energetic than normal this morning.
バカ、そういうわけにいくか。今起きるから一緒にキッチンに行こう。よし、準備完了。それじゃあ行こう、さくら。
いえ、その先輩。
なんだよ。他に何かあるのか。
いえ、そういうことではないんですけど、その先輩、家に戻る前に着替えた方がいいと思います。
When she says that, I looked down at myself. Last night I fell asleep in the middle of working on something, so I was still in my overalls. These coveralls that are my work clothes are covered in dirt. If I go into the house wearing them, I really don't know what Fujine will say.
まだ目が覚めてないみたいだ。なんか普段に増して抜けてるな。
そうかもしれませんね。ですから朝食の支度は私に任せて、先輩はもう少しゆっくりしていてください。それにほら、ここを散らかしっぱなしにしていたら藤村先生に怒られるでしょ。
そうだな。それじゃあ着替えてから行くから、さくらは先に戻っていてくれ。
はい、お待ちしてますね、先輩。
Sakura leaves on swift feet. Well then, first I'll change to my uniform, and then I'll gather up the parts that are scattered around. The shed is built in the corner of the yard, and as you can see, it's a storehouse stuffed with junk. I say that, but I've liked tinkering with the stuff since I was a kid. So to me, it was just like a vault of treasure. Wait, give me a second. I think the background music is too strong. Where the hell? Config. There you go. Dad forbade me from entering the shed, but I broke the rule and snuck in almost every day, and as a result, I kind of made it my base. For me, Emiyashiro, you could maybe say that this place is my real room. The expensive Emiya mansion doesn't really suit me, and more than anything, this atmosphere of being surrounded by junk really made me relax.
そもそももったいないじゃないか。ガラクタって言ってもまだ使えるし。
It's 9 o'clock. Maybe it's too early to go out. Nah, I think, when do I end stream? 10? 10, 11? Maybe 11? Let's see, maybe 11. Most of what's stored in the shed is daily use stuff that doesn't work anymore. I don't know if I carry junk into it because I like this place, or if I like this place because it was filled with a mountain of junk. Anyway, sneaking into the shed day after day and repairing broken things like the stuff here became my hobby. It's not as though I have any special attachment to things. I just can't understand why you wouldn't use something that will still work, and I think that bothers me. So that's why I spent the whole night last night fixing a broken stove. Well, I can give you an idea. It's how he thinks about himself.
完成は明日か。途中で寝るなんて集中力が足りない証拠だ。
I shake off a light feeling of self-ridicule. For now, I gather up the bits of the stove and put them on the shelf for repair parts. There's no room on the shelf, so once I finish fixing the stove, next up, an obsolete videotape player is waiting for me. Let's ignore the fact that Fujinen broke both of them for me right now. With a grunt, I get up. I change from my work clothes into my uniform. Since the shed is like my room, I keep a change of clothes, all the things I need to live here. Other than that, the better part of what's left is, some hastily scribbled blueprints and some junk I guess you could call failed repairs. I guess this place used to be some sort of altar. There's also some kind of pattern carved into the floor of the shed.
さて、今日も一日頑張って精進しよう。
I clap my hands to the shed and take my legs toward the house. From the shed, I head towards the house. The Emiya house is a samurai-style mansion on the outskirts of town. Dad wasn't any kind of big shot around town or anything, but he had this huge house anyway. That's enough of a mystery on its own, but apparently Emiya Kuritsugu has no relatives in Japan. That's why after Dad died, instead of passing to anyone else, the house was mortgaged to his adopted son instead. But well, the truth is, I don't have that kind of management ability. Inheritance tax, property tax, old man Fujimura is handling all the difficult stuff for me. Old man Fujimura is a big landowner who lives in the neighborhood. Dad used to say that old man's like a Yakuza boss. Of course that wasn't true. Old man Fujimura isn't like a Yakuza boss. Old man Fujimura actually is a Yakuza boss. There's a serious problem there in itself, but I don't particularly want to get into that right now. Anyway, that's why I'm the only person living here in this big house. It's already been 5 years since Dad died. The days really go by fast. I guess the old Fujimura had like a huge step on Kuritsugu. I mean, considering Kuritsugu's skills and all that sort of thing. In those 5 years, when I think about how much I've matured, I just sigh. I've been training every day to become like Kuritsugu, but realistically, it's not going well. If you said that was to be expected because I have no talent from the start, you'd be right. But even so, not making the slightest bit of progress in the 5 years is a problem worth thinking about. If I summed up the situation in one sentence, I'd say that my ideal was aiming too high, and I'm not even standing on the standing line yet. No, there's no point getting worked up about it. For now, all I can do is the best at what I can. Well then, in the meantime, if you ask what I should do now. First, isn't that the question of the day? Let's see. I'm actually gonna use a guide because I don't feel like doing a lot of mistakes. I don't feel like going through bad endings. Let's see. I'm opening the flowchart. All right. Since the first route is we're gonna do fate. We're gonna do the morning training, which is I'll go and finish my daily routine. Gotcha. The Emiya house has a gorgeous dojo. When they were building the house, they decided they might as well build it too. It's not really for anything other than hobbies. That being the case, it's not like this dojo was built for any particular purpose.
さて
Let's get a bit of light exercise in before breakfast while wearing his uniform. What the hell? It's not that I do any martial arts in particular, but if you're going to do what I do, first you have to make your body strong. Since Dad said that to me, training my body like this has become my daily routine.
99、100
I cut short of my usual number of crunches and changed from my G back into my uniform. Good to know he changes his clothes. I overslept this morning, so I don't have time to exercise as much as I'd like to. Leaving out the stretching and just doing a good number of sit-ups is enough. I don't have a build where it's easy to put on muscle, and no matter how much I say my body is important, it's not like I want to get into a fight. Don't worry, you really grow tall and get huge muscles. And if you're lucky, you get tan and your hair turns white. As long as I'm athletic enough to deal with any sudden accidents and I can move just as I picture it when I need to, that's good enough. After all, I want to be in the first place in the very opposite of a sportsman.
もうこんな時間か
I put my sweat-soaked chi into the hamper. The time is 20 after 6. For the early rising Emiya household, this time is already a little late for breakfast. The preparations for breakfast are already completely finished. The smell of an elegant sakura-like breakfast carries from the dining table. It's a
お
very
疲れ様でした
interesting
こっち
explanation.
も朝食の支度終わりましたよ
サンキューすまん俺が寝過ごした分さくらに無理させちまって
そんな全然無理なんかじゃないですよそれに寝坊なんかじゃありません先輩は部活をしていないんですからこの時間は十分に早起きです
部活は関係ないよそれを言ったら朝練があるさくらがうちに来てくれるのってすごい早起きじゃないか
いえ私は好きでしていることですから部活のことは気にしないでください
それは何度も聞いた
And I'm surprised Sakura still gets to her club thing early enough.
まあだから俺も部活に関係なく早起きしたいんださくらが来てくれるならその時間には起きてないと失礼だろ
For me, waking up early means waking up before Sakura gets here, and sleeping in means like this morning making Sakura prepare breakfast by herself. Although that's no more than a habit that I picked up in the last year and a half.
先輩そういうところこだわりますよね三辻先輩エミヤは粗雑なくせに律儀すぎてうるさいって
Sakura smiles like she's remembering it. Mitsuzuri that she's talking about is the captain of the archery club that Sakura is part of, and a girl student I have some history with. This is where you get some parallel with Rin.
あいつまだ俺への文句をさくらにこぼしてんのか
はい先輩が卒業するまでに何としても社でうならせてやるって毎日頑張ってます
今じゃあいつのが段位高いだろうにあれかな思い出は無敵ってやつかな美化されてるのは悪い気分じゃないけどそれも人によりけりっていうか
三辻先輩すっごく負けず嫌いですからきっと心の中で先輩をライバルみたいに思ってますよ
Shiro was in the archery club. Who is anyone else I know into archery? Never mind. I hate making that stupid shit. Let me stop. We already know, man. As she's talking, Sakura fills the bowl with rice. It's just about 6:30. The morning practice for the archery club starts at 7. Regardless of whether attendance is voluntary, there's no time for lazing around.
藤根はそろそろか。ま、この時間に来ない方が悪いんだし。
そうですね。はい、どうぞ先輩。
Sakura hands me a bowl with a cheerful smile. And despite this being something I'm used to every morning, without thinking my eyes are swollen by those white fingers. How to put it? I'm in a trouble. I guess she's growing up. But Sakura has been strangely attractive recently. Okay, he's a growing boy. Even when she's not doing anything in particular, she looks beautiful to me, and my breath has been catching a lot lately. But I'm not gonna say that line. Maybe it's a reaction to not thinking of her as a girl until now. But isn't this me being a little overconscious of her femininity?
先輩、どうかしましたか？
いや、どうもしてない。どうもしてないから気にしないでくれ。
I'm really in trouble. What am I doing getting so nervous about my friend's little sister? Sakura is in every respect a perfect kohai, and a younger girl that I had to look after. In the first place, Sakura and I are just senpai and kohai. Sakura is the little sister of a friend of mine, but since she's a year younger than me, it's not like we were especially close. We formed this kind of cooperative relationship about a year and a half ago. If I remember right, when I was injured, Sakura came over to cook for me, and I feel like it just became like this naturally from there. I feel like we decided that it would just be until my injury healed, but some kind of trivial thing happened. For some reason, she kept coming by to help me with the household. In any case, Sakura's cooking is delicious. Her laundry and her cleaning are both impeccable. Her coming by is a big help to me, but lately it's been a little complicated. The problem isn't with Sakura, it's entirely with me. To come right out and say it, Sakura is beautiful. Beautiful. She's the most beautiful of any first-year girls. And there are probably plenty of girls checking her out because they want to date her. Especially recently, she's been growing in certain areas, and there have been plenty of times that her casual gestures have left me flustered. In short, that's why it's complicated. I get it. Your life's little sister, your friend's little sister, making your heart flutter is something to feel guilty about, right? Okay, am I suffering from envious problems right now as well? Normally, it's not a big deal, but sometimes, like just now, it hits me unexpectedly, and I start blushing, which is rather a problem as a senpai, don't you think? Okay, Emiya. Breakfast is laid out on the table. A complete, faultless menu of chicken tender and parsley salad, salmon teriyaki, and boiled spinach, daikon, and carrot miso soup, and even a yam soup.
Itadakimasu.
Sitting together, Sakura and I neatly bow and quietly start eating. Itadakimasu is a word, phrase, mean literally humbly received, said in appreciation of the meal about to be eaten. Similar to the Christian practice of saying grace. What if I'm not Christian? I wouldn't know what that is. Anyway. The only sound is the clacking of her chopsticks. Fundamentally, Sakura isn't very talkative, and I can't multitask well enough to talk while I'm eating. Naturally, our meal times are quiet. Normally, they're a little noisier, but just for today, that boisterous person is... I guess she watched a spy movie or something last night. With her face hidden, she's surveying us from behind a newspaper.
藤村先生、ご飯時に新聞は見ない方がいいと思いますよ。
Fujime ignores Sakura's reluctant attempt at a conversation. It's really very suspicious. But Fujime is always suspicious at the breakfast table. I guess that Sakura's used to it too. She keeps eating, not seemingly especially bothered. Generally speaking, Sakura makes Western food. She learned how to make Japanese food after she started coming here to help out. Fujime and my tastes are thoroughly Japanese, so Sakura learned how to make light Japanese food at least for breakfast. And now Sakura has gotten so good at it that she even surpassed me, her teacher. The flavor of her miso soup is top notch, and lately she's showing that she can even grate yams and make yam soup. Speaking of which, isn't today the first time she's ever made yam soup?
悪いさくら醤油取って。
大変です先輩。先輩のお醤油は昨日で切れてます。
じゃあ藤根のでいいや取って。
藤村先生、いいですか？
Fujine nods yes. The newspaper makes a rustling sound as it wrinkles.
はいどうぞ。とろろ汁に使うんですか？
ああ、とろろには醤油だろう普通。
I pour some soy sauce onto the white yam. I stir it in the soy sauce and put it on some rice and take a bite. The stickiness of the grated yam, and the powerful to intense self-assertive flavor of the
うわまずこれソースだぞソース。しかもオイスター。
oyster. Fujine vigorously hurls aside the newspaper with a thud.
そうだ。朝のうちにソースとお醤油のラベルを取り替えておく作戦なのだ。
Raising her hand up with a hoot in celebration, the mysterious lady spy.
朝っぱらから何考えてんだあんたは。今年で25のくせにいつまで経っても藤根は藤根だな。
Fuck. I'm actually older than Fujine. Oh shit. Anyway.
昨日の恨み思い知ったか。みんなと一緒になってお姉ちゃんをいじめるやつには当然の天罰ってところかしら。
天罰ってのは人為的なもんじゃないだろう。なんかおとなしいと思ったら昨日からこんなこと考えてやがったのかこの暇人。
Wait. I think I want to end stream. I kind of remembered I had to do something. It's almost 9:30 anyway, but yeah, I wanted 11. Well, if I if I still feel like continuing later, I will come back because I want to end all my activities for today at 11. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy watching. If I come back later, well, see you guys later. And if I don't,